Hello, we started our new spontaneous hangout. Today is May 24th, 5 evening. I welcome everybody. We have 5 viewers and we have eight people participating, and I will introduce you guys. Hey, František. Hey, Jaguar. Hey, Jacob. Hey, Caitlin.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Laura.
Hello.
Hey, Major. Hey, Will.
Hello.
Bring up your questions, and I will we'll pick the topics to discuss.
Am I the only one who can't hear him?
Yeah, I think you're on mute, Max.
Max, I think you're on mute.
Yes. Also, Rowie is saying that he's off mic, but he's there.
Max.
Is there anyone on webcam that can wave at him to stop?
Exactly. Can anybody turn off his or her webcam and sign language?
Just click
Oh, Max is doing the hand gestures. It's serious.
He's not...
Max.
He's not on Skype either, so I can't tell him.
Max, we can't hear you. Nope.
This is so surreal.
Oh my god. I feel bad because he's really talking away too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's in his own world right now.
Technical difficulties.
Does anyone have his phone number that can call him?
No.
But we are recording us, so what if we just say something?
Yeah, we could just talk amongst ourselves.
I think he realized he was muted. Nope.
No, he hasn't realized.
Oh, what do you guys want to talk about?
Silence.
Wow, he's... I'm just observing him. He's just...
Yeah, someone channel him.
No.
Oh my god. Max.
We love you, Max.
Max, you're wonderful. Unmute yourself.
Max, you're awesome. Oh my god, he's gonna be so mad after he finds out.
Just so you know, Jacob, it isn't normally like this. It's normally a lot more structured, and we actually do sort of...
Oh my god. Hi, Dan.
Hello. I couldn't resist. That was hilarious.
I know, it's funny. I feel so bad.
What's going on?
Max has muted himself.
Nothing much.
Has he stopped for a breath yet? I don't think he...
Now I've muted him, so he needs to unmute somehow.
Oh my god.
Does anyone have any way of getting hold of him?
No, I don't.
No, I don't have his phone number.
He's still going though.
Max, we can't hear you. Max, we can't hear you.
Max. Oh my god.
I've got an idea. I don't know, he may have done.
Is that Jaguar? With the green...
With the green juice.
The green... What is that?
It's the green monster juice drink
Oh my god.
Wow.
I'm going to drink you.
Give him a sign. Give him a sign, Jaguar, if you got a camera.
Yeah, give him a sign.
Yeah.
Wave at him or something.
He's still going.
I'm going to write something, so yeah.
Yeah, write something. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Hey, it's a little test. Test to how to lip read.
Yeah, help with our telepathic abilities, eh? I've got no idea.
If he stops stroking his beard.
Must be something very interesting.
For deaf people, yes. Otherwise, we'd be able to hear it. Or maybe we're all deaf now. I'm not sure really what's going on.
Oh god. Has he noticed yet? Nope.
It's possible, if you can hear me, it's possible his headset has died. It looks like he's using a wireless one. Might have run out of battery power.
Might have. He's still going though. Still going.
Full
Yeah,
steam
go on.
ahead.
Speak, yeah, because then it comes up on the screen.
How does he not give me... How does he just keep talking for that long? Doesn't he get thirsty?
Well, if you select yourself, then you'll see yourself on screen. You can choose who you want to see on screen.
Can you guys see the sign?
I see it, yes.
I see it.
My arm is getting tired.
Wait, Jaguar, just keep talking and then your screen will be up there.
Aha, sound 1, 2, 3. This is Jag trying to come across. Max, can you hear me? We come in
Where's our,
peace. Live
where's our
long-
guides? Where are they? Come
live
on.
long and prosper.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, poke him on the shoulder.
Help us
This
out.
is a test, I believe.
Yeah, maybe they're cracking themselves up there. You know?
Maybe this is a lesson.
Yeah,
for
as
Max.
we did before a few minutes.
Maybe the
This might be a
aliens
lesson
muted
for
him.
Max to be able to pause and to listen to other people.
Yeah, there's some irony there for sure.
Yeah.
Not-
I think
not-
Yeah, there's been a lot to digest in the last week.
he unmuted himself, but he still... Max, speak.
His headset's dead.
Yeah,
Probably is.
he noticed it now.
Still can't hear him.
Need to charge up your headset, Max. Take it off, charge it up. That's it.
Success.
Yay, well done, everyone.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that took longer than expected.
Oh, you can take it down now, Jack.
Finally, my hand was getting numb.
It's all that green juice you're drinking.
Hey there.
You
Hello,
were
Max.
talking pretty long.
Welcome back,
Welcome
Max.
back, Max.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So, Jaguar, was it you who wrote the title, the
Yes.
paper? Thank you
Yes.
much. Yeah, that was great. That helped a lot. I would speak for another hour maybe, but I noticed that. I noticed it. I mean, if somebody could show their video and then kind of wave hands, I would notice that too. But the paper is good enough.
It took a really long time for you to notice, though.
I was
You were there
say-
for a pretty good 10 minutes.
I was speaking important things, and I don't know why. I mean, typically I didn't do anything for that. It was. Am I? Yeah, I can see my speaker. Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Typically these things happen when they block. Some of those block us. So, and especially it was clear yesterday when Zachariah was speaking. Did you discuss anything interesting which we need to continue? I'm sorry for interrupting.
No.
We're just
We
cracking
were
up
just
and trying
laughing.
to get your attention and
Oh.
speculating if it was the headset that ran out of battery.
No, it was not. It was clearly somebody muted me. Can you hear me now?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, we
very
can
nice.
hear you.
Yeah, something or somebody muted me. But I can repeat. Yeah, I should repeat. I guess every minute I will now ask. If somebody was on video, then it would help me. If you can wave your hands if I get mute. But that's okay. I think maybe these 10 minutes would be the most fun minutes to watch by others, and they will be exciting for them to watch. I think that the whole phenomenon was interesting. So I start again from introduction. So the question was very interesting. The human colonies. They started about a year ago when Girk Fitneer was started speaking to us, and we suggested to them to take some of Lightworkers up there and start a contact on their territory, on their ships around the globe and around the Earth. And they started those, and it was great because the contact already started and people were speaking. One of our achievements was that we asked that people who are taken only volunteers. For them, it was really hard to come in peace with this concept. And second, that only that people should remember their trips, because again, it was hard for them to accept that. So the colony number one started working on telepathy. So telepathy is what the humanity is missing right now. Very few people are psychics and telepaths. And hey Zinaida, yes, thank you.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you mute your microphone?
Oh, sorry.
I will mute. Can you mute it? All right, thank you. All right, so basically the main problem with the current history, current politics, is the politics is hijacked by negatives. And it's really hard for people to see the real intentions and the real integrity of the people on the top. The clearest example is United Nations, and there are lots more examples where people really trusted in some person and that person hijacked the power and used it for negative purposes. Telepathy is what allows the aliens to survive that and to prevent that. František says I'm not that interesting as when I was muted. All right, I'm serious, really. So telepathy is important. Basically, if you're telepathic, you understand if you're being told truth or people are untruthful to you. You really can understand the intentions of people, even if they are not telepathic. So humanity is awakening to telepathy, and we witnessed in the past 2 weeks 3 participants of our community becoming telepathic and channeling. Nick, Jaguar, who is here, and Sabrina. And others started speaking galactic languages too, and they're close to becoming telepathic. That is very exciting. So things happen right here on Earth, and it's here on record. So we are very excited about this. In the human colonies, they also work on this telepathy, and they already have full-blown telepaths. About 10 to 12 full. The range of telepathy varies. They measure it as a percentage of Yahyel telepaths. So 100. I don't think anybody reached 100%, but the best telepath is about maybe 70%, which is tons of telepathy. They basically become non-human. They become saints, saintly, very enlightened when they become that telepathic. Some of the telepaths are children, and all of them are living life on Earth and living the life in the colonies. And I showed it previously. I will show you again how it happens. Just a second. So it happens like that. You live a time here, and the pen is not working now. Let me see. You live some time here, and then you're taken to the colony, and you start your time. And this pen again is really hot. Okay, and then start the time there. And you live 2 weeks there.
Write something, Max, when is chance now.
Please explain what's happening.
I just meant you were advised that it meant when it went hot last time that you should write something, automatic writing. So, come on.
Thank you, thank you. I took it to my, how do they say it politely? I took it to my consideration or something, to my heart. I took it to my heart. Thank you. I will do that. I will possibly write something of essence, maybe a chapter or something. Maybe I'm discussing basically what I'm doing now. I'm discussing what I want to write. That's I will condense it later to something more beautifully expressed. But right now, the main purpose is to explain what is happening and to bring the topic to discussion, which is important. So the person lives there for 2 weeks. Then they come back to the same time where they left. So they never leave the Earth for a long time. Maybe they live for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. And they live here for another couple of weeks, and they return back to the colony. They continue there for a couple of weeks. So they live the double life. And because the medicine of aliens is good, the double life doesn't make you actually much older. It might make you healthier and even not older at all. And then you live double life here and double life there. But you do remember what is happening in the colony, and that transformed your life here as well. The people who are living from here, they have to specify the time and place where they can be taken from, and it could be just a closed room or some place where nobody can see you disappearing and appearing again. So they beam you up like in Star Trek using some sort of transporter. All right. So the telepaths. They use some sort of technological tools to make you telepathic in the colonies, but we didn't use any technological tools here, except we possibly will have been helped by 𝗪𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓 and his team and others to become telepathic, meaning our channelers being helped possibly using technology and other tools from other dimensions, from 4 dimensions possibly. We don't know. I guess we should ask about that. So colony number 3 is doing another very important task. It is creating the videos. So when the contact happens, when it becomes big news, the humanity will want to learn more about the aliens. And the way the humanity learns these days is from interviews. It is the main tool because there is so much perception. The humanity learned to judge what people say by expressions on their faces. And we know how the liars look, and we can connect to people when they speak. We can connect to them sort of empathically and understand their mind by looking at their faces, looking at their movement, the expressions. And that is, most people are capable of that. So when humans interview aliens, we possibly wouldn't be able to understand, if the aliens, when they respond to questions, how honest they are, but we will understand if humans are honest and if they really believe, especially if these are celebrities we trust. And I mention usually Michael Jordan as one that is trusted and respected. But possibly there are. I'm sure there are many others. I just am not following the celebrities. But someone who has made their fame became famous because of not deceiving other people. Politicians are not as trusted, many politicians. Journalists may be not as trusted because they have to swim under control. Some journalists are trusted. Like the Daily Show by Jon Stewart, I think he would be one of the trusted people to go up there and report. Walter Cronkite was very trusted. He made the history by basically single-handedly stopping the Vietnam War. So because people trusted him, and what he said was taken to attention. So the Holy Number 3 is making this kind of interviews where people are interviewing the aliens, and also people who are in the colonies who already are used to live with the aliens, used to speak for them for weeks and learn the alien culture, develop their own alien-aware culture. These people already understood some, and they are being interviewed by other humans, professional journalists, and these interviews also are invaluable. So when humanity awakens, when there will be a demand for more information, if these videos become public, they will be likely invited by major television networks, and they will help the humanity perceive the truth. If these videos are not available, then the whole history would go differently. So having the videos where the aliens are can really express themselves in a positive atmosphere makes a huge difference. So obviously there is a danger that mainstream media would display, portray the aliens as negatives, and these videos might swing the opinion otherwise to the positive direction. So basically, we need the whole humanity needs to understand who are our friends and what are their interests and why do they help us. Am I being heard right now? Just
Yes.
checking.
I have a
Oh, thank you.
question.
Yes, please go ahead.
What about the people who visit the human colonies astrally or in their dreams? Like they don't remember. I visited, but I only remember certain parts of it. So what is the purpose of that? Are they just trying to give you a tour, or what you will see if you are accepted? Like, do you know the purpose of that?
Perfect. Yes, that is one of the questions where I was going. Yes, thank you for prompting. So the King of Era of Pleiadian planet era on the start, the circle in the start of 𝗪𝗪𝗕𝗓 invited us to become. We invited him, and they created 3 more colonies. And the difference between the first colonies by Girk Fitneer and the Eran colonies, they're friendly, but the difference is that Eran colonies still use the way of wiping out your memory. They block you. So there is some sort of, they have the technology, so your memory is blocked until later it is unblocked. How I need an analogy. How is it possible to have a memory? Very easy. Like there are some childhood memories which we don't remember, but then we come to a certain situation, and typically there would be a smell which you didn't hear for a lifetime, but in the childhood you heard it, like a smell of mother's milk, something which is since the very early ages you haven't smelled, and then you smell it and the whole memory comes to you. This is the same principle, like holographic principle, is that something is blocked until it is unblocked with certain stimulus, and even human psychologists are capable of doing that. And actually our dear military are using that sort of technology and military industrial complex to train some like certain behaviors and certain negative behaviors in humans.
Interrupt you, may I?
Say again?
The conversation that we're having about the memory, may I?
Yes. Go ahead.
On 2012.
Yes.
Experience. I was in the restroom, and when I came out from the restroom, I felt like a perfume, very hard perfume, smell of that perfume, which is in my restroom. I don't have those kind of perfumes. and I lost my memory, and I was like, you know, I couldn't recognize my room. I came and I had guests, and I was telling them that, who's that? All my things, I was telling them that this is not mine. Who's that? They were just looking at me like I'm crazy. And then it came back to me, my memory, like after 15, 20 minutes. But I don't know what happened with me. So they do something, and we don't know what is that.
Interesting. I will tell a story. I don't know if it's related. Maybe it is. I met an interesting woman in Toronto. She doesn't hide her history, actually. It's possible to find her. She tells everybody her story. She is a walk-in, somebody who walks in the body of another person. I don't know. I don't think she knows her alien race, but basically, the body he uses died before. That was a mother of 4 children who died from, I think it was cancer or something like that. And at the moment of death, the soul left. The aliens fixed the body medically and allowed the new soul to come in. And she miraculously was cured. And she tells her children, "I'm sorry, I'm walking. I'm in the body of your mother, but I'm not, not the same soul." And the children, because they're kind of adult, they accept that. It's nice to have at least someone who represents your mother, if it's not the same soul. And she's quite successful. She's clearly not from this planet. She's completely different-minded, I would say. Very strongly energetic. But and she tells her story, and she is now preaching New Age philosophies in the body, but she's kind of channeling, but using the human body full way. So it is possible that you experience, Naida, something like dimensional shift. That smell might be shifted you between some realities. That's just a guess. We can discuss it more, but think in that direction. Maybe you can find something there. I'm switching back to the topic of human colonies. So 3 more human colonies were created by Lyrans a couple days ago, and few people from the humancolony.org have visited them. Unfortunately, they are not allowed to remember much. But again, Nick yesterday was able to remember something. He said while he was channeling, he was taken to human colonies, and he remembered, he saw things, and he described the screens and electronics and stuff of that sort. And actually, I spoke to people in human colonies of Girk Fitneer, and they also, through channelers, and they also described some of their technologies, and Lakesh described some of their technologies. Obviously, this is very, very extraterrestrial, very, it looks differently, it feels differently. Jim has been to the colonies. Again, he remembers very little about that, but he was said that he has been taken to the colonies, so that's another exciting thing. So I'm very unhappy. I'm happy that the colonies were created, but I'm unhappy that we are not allowed to remember things. Can you comment on that? And I will continue.
Yeah, I feel the same way because I have so little memories of visiting, and it's sad because it's such a nice place. The places that I visit, they're very interesting, and the aliens, they're really nice, but I think some of our memories are blocked because just the way we react. Maybe some of us are scared. Maybe some of us would scream if we actually seen an alien, or maybe those are the memories that are blocked off. But yeah, it's a difficult thing to try to remember, and then you get some fractals of that memory back. But I guess it's what we have to live with for now. If we get our memories back, that's a good thing.
Any more comments on that? Anybody else? One of the reasons I think they don't want our memories to be kept because we are here public. So suppose any one of us comes here and gives a full detailed report about things. That might be inappropriate. Might basically think about the contact. We all really want the contact to happen, but we really also want that contact to end positively. What happens after the contact is a wide range of possibilities, from the best ones where the humanity is magically transformed. We get the new technologies, we get new ideas, we get new friends, everything is shiny and rainbowish, to the very negative when, you know, the contact happened and it was so negative and traumatic that the Earth decides to close itself as Soviet Union and you know, Stalin time, Soviet Union with Iron Curtain, and basically we are thrown back to, you know, to the old times for a long period of time. And all variants in between. Like some countries are friends with aliens, and some countries think that aliens are, like Russia would say, that they are demons. You know, that's current take of Russian church, that aliens are demons, and that's the end of the story. We you know, they don't want even to mention them. You know, religious people. So, saying that, you know, so the scenario, there are multiple scenarios. That's a very important point in our history. The contact happens, and that's not necessarily the first ever contact. Maybe there will be some contacts that will not tip the scale, not tipping point. So there will be some contacts. Again, they land, some people meet them, they celebrate, and people say, I've met the aliens, but there is again no proof. And even if there is proof, the humanity doesn't awaken to that. Maybe still the mainstream media laughs at it, and that would be, it will take some more landings, some more landings, some more contacts until the things tip, and then humanity says, maybe there is something there, tell us more. So at that point, when the mainstream media says, tell us more, that's where the tipping will happen. So from the point of view of the aliens, our galactic friends, it is, and from us, it's very important to be prepared to this tipping point. So tipping point preparedness. When it happens, at like point 0, point A, you have to say, after A, you have to say B, C, D, E, F. And you have to be prepared to say that. So also, you know, that preparedness is present in some forms, but not in the full form. For example, you know, every time in the beginning, in the beginning broadcasts, you know, initial channelings, I was asking them very important questions. How many of you are here in solar system? And the numbers, you know, the numbers from Pleiadian Sirian channelings were millions. And then I speak to my Girk Fitneer friends, and they say we have 4 ships and numbers in tens of people, or maybe total 150, but some of them are not working on the first contact, and they're mostly working on the weather. So specialists who really work on first contact, how many do you have? It counts in tens. Volunteers who are, you know, if that happens, how many aliens do you need for the first contact? You know, they plan 12 sites. Maybe they will come in groups of 3 or 6. So, you know, it's again about 100 of aliens. But then, suppose the tipping point happens, and you said A, B, and then C would be establishing diplomatic relationships. Please comment here.
If this actually happens, what do you think the government's going to do, though?
There is a whole range of possibilities, but establishing diplomatic relationships is absolutely essential. You know, they can do still it by hiding this, and as aliens pop in and you know, president's offices, or you know, do holographic projections, but that is not equal to diplomatic relations. It's not if they appear when they want to, it's not the same thing as having official places where they can meet whenever they want to in official way as equals. So obviously the Earth wants diplomatic relationships in protected, formalized ways, as it is typically done in the galaxy. and is typically done on Earth. So two parties, strong party and not so strong party military. The Earth would be the weak party. We want to be treated as equal. We want to be treated as respect. So, United Nations is the most appropriate place for that. For me, it was a revelation. Although the United Nations is the most disabled political entity, we want to revive it in a new way to make it a representative of Earth. It could be also America as the strongest party, or it could be, I don't know what they have now, like Council of 9 or Council of 12, governments. That would be also possible. Whatever, something representative of Earth, and then they would have to have representatives, aliens here and humans there. So, and next, A, B, C, D, they have to have space here where the aliens are protected from terrorist attacks, and they have to have space there where the humans can visit and even stay for some time. So, I call this place up there Galactic Village, or Galactic Village. Basically, this would accept some representative of United Nations and big countries and maybe some other important people to visit there and start the relationship, learn the basics of galactic, history, galactic presence, and ways to do things. A lot of learning is needed. Yes, please comment.
Max.
Yes.
I'm a bit sleepy, but I want to add to this.
Yes,
airspace is very, very important to governments. They get very touchy, and it's almost required to have a neutral airspace for these people to land. Otherwise, weapons will be automatically fired at ships. This is why I think they've been disabling the nukes to make sure this doesn't happen. But I just wanted to say that maybe embassies are a good idea with a neutral airspace where they can come and land and be respected and honored as guests. Would be a nice way of welcoming them into our society as well.
Of course, yes. Maybe United States are not ready. Maybe Brazil is more advanced. I mean, there are some countries which, like Canada, maybe they will be more open. Maybe Belgium, I think, was the one where they had this triangular crafts, some years ago. And Belgium, I think, was much more open to that than English-speaking countries. I had that feeling. So maybe some really small countries. Let me name some. New Zealand maybe is open. I don't know. I don't know. It's not that small, but small in population. So my point here, the next step is you need lots of aliens who are ready to commit to come in person and be here. And they have technology so they can protect themselves. If they build the embassy, they can cover it in a way that it will be shielded. It's not a question. Also, they can have their ship cloaked, and they can be present at meetings as holographic projections. I asked them, it is possible for them to be a full-fledged holographic projection which you can teleport from a real person and even tangible. They can touch this holographic projection, but it will be invincible basically. So the security is not a question. The question is numbers of aliens who are ready for doing that. And apparently my understanding was that the numbers are tiny. Aliens who are trained and also have security clearance up there. The number of aliens with security clearance qualified to do negotiations with Earth is minimal. Like this dude, he's busy on weather. There is almost King of Era. He's busy with. This dude is busy with weather, and Kinjin is busy with Era planet. So I don't think there are. It would be a handful of aliens who are authorized, have a clearance, who can do that, and basically they have to be prepared. So I think the human colony, one of, at least from my perspective, the purpose, I will let the cat out. The purpose of one of the functions of human colony is preparing the humans who are capable of speaking to aliens without being scared much. Я не могу сейчас, я знаю. And the aliens who are capable of communicating with humans in a meaningful way and have the security clearance. Please comment here.
Can I just add something, Max?
Yes.
Going back to, it is related, but going back to what you were saying about memories,
yes.
I think it would be really helpful if they were to reconsider that the people that have been contacted and who are having contact with these ETs, that they actually remember, because that will align people and get people used to knowing that they're there. There are so many people that I interact with on a daily basis who don't even know or don't even believe that they're there, and they won't, because we don't learn from being told, we learn from experience. So if we were everyone was enabled to remember their experiences, then it won't come as such a shock when they actually do appear.
Yes and no. Yes, I support the whole idea of remembering. No, I don't think the danger of Lightworkers seeing the aliens. If you have been to the colonies and met them many times, and then you come back and your memories are blocked, but at the time of contact, I think they have the switch to gradually let you remember. So if they plan it for January 1, coming a new year, then in November they start unblocking the memory. So by January 1 we remember. That I think is the plan. So that is not a real concern for them. So it's not an argument which we could use asking for memories. And another argument which I think is stronger, again, I don't know if it is stronger, that's basically a question which just came to me today, thinking about what the Aaron King said, is they say often, work on yourself, become more spiritual, and then you will remember. Be more open, be less afraid, and you will remember. And now I'm asking, is it that my fear is blocking it, or is it that you are blocking it? Obviously, they say the same thing. The whole experience is an illusion. But I think that's avoiding the from our perspective, it is very important. Is it natural that we don't remember, or is it artificial? So if it's an artificial block placed by them, then why would I need to meditate to take it over, take it out? If it is a natural block which occurs by itself, or it is placed by my higher self, then it's a different way of overcoming it. Yes, then meditation is appropriate. So I don't know the answer. I think that possibly there is a whole spectrum of things. Some things are blocked by my fears, and some things are blocked by specific aliens who put the switch there and said, this is locked until you reach the spiritual frequency of 5.1 OGS or something like that. Or until the time, until 3 weeks, until the formal open contact, something of that sort.
I believe it's always this and that.
I agree with you. I also feel like it's different for everyone.
Anything else?
Yeah, that you can choose what meaning you put to it that will come, So just decide what do you want it to mean.
Yeah, to me it is both, but I would prefer for them just to, to allow me to remember and stop messing up with my. I am still in the position of victim. Feeling the victim is easier for me than taking responsibility for my own blockages. Yes, I acknowledge that. In any case, we have a sort of, again, it's all channel information. In any case, Girk Fitneer is not blocking the memories. I was very insistent, and I was speaking to this dude, and they made a conscious decision. They say, we are not blocking the memories. It's up to the visitor to human colonies to expose their experiences or to not expose their experiences. And so far, nobody came with full range of reports. People contacted me saying that they have been in the colonies, but they were very elusive, and nobody really kind of took the full made the full report. One of them is quite enlightened, but again, her experiences were sort of vague. She clearly visited, but she doesn't remember as much, and she can't tell the details. So that's where we are. But at least the Girk Fitneer says that they don't intentionally block, and the Kinovera says that they do intentionally block. So we have that kind of difference, which we want to elaborate on.
Nick said that sometimes it's blocked because your body blocks it for safety reasons. I think that's what Nick told me, because when I would go to sleep, I have very vivid dreams, and I do have some really crazy things happen, and I did notice that I was in the human colonies, but I'm only remembering certain things. And Nick told me he's seen me there, but I was like, well, how come if I'm in the human colonies, how come I'm not remembering everything? And he was like, it's because your body is doing that for safety reasons. And the whole time I thought they were blocking my memories, but it was just me.
He also said that you looked older, so maybe you visited in the same human colonies as Nick, but from 1 year from now. They can
Maybe.
mess up the time in that way. They can you Nick from now and you from a year from now meet there at the same place at the same time and see each other.
All I know is when I'm there, I don't feel any emotion really. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel totally emotionless. I'll just really, it's like I'm observing. I can't see my own body, but it's like I'm observing. I do see a lot of aliens, and it's really interesting, but maybe that's why I was older. Maybe it's because my emotions were different and I felt things differently. So that might be why. I think Nick said that he's seen people as their higher selves or something like that. So it's really interesting how they manipulate time like that.
If it is a higher self, it can show itself to others in any way it likes. So maybe your higher self picked an image of your older as a representation. That is also a possibility. So these are like typical spiritual visits, yes. But there are physical visits to Girk Fitneer colonies, and I think Kenjan said that there is a mixed set of visits for Erran colonies on Earth. So I would invite loosening that memory block, so we can choose what to tell on public and what not to tell. But at least our physical mind would start making adjustments to incorporate the knowledge of what happened in the colonies. I think that's pretty much what I want to say. I better know what happened, and I can choose, and I might, we might discuss what is appropriate to. I want to have some clearance. I want to feel my mind to really understand, what I have experienced there, and then I might, voluntarily withdraw that information if I understand that it is not a good time to release it. So I would propose to them to work with the human volunteers to negotiate how much memory they're allowed to keep. Like, we have tons of stories of contactees who have been taken to the ships, and they said, I will cooperate with you if you let me keep my memories. and they negotiated with a specific individuals there, and some of the memories they were allowed to keep. Not all of them, but much of the memory, especially the ones which did it in a voluntary way. So the ones which were foregoing and behaved responsibly, they're allowed to keep more memories. So every time you go to there, negotiate how much you are allowed to keep. Maybe they also kind of, that would be, when they say, when you're ready, you'll remember, meaning when you behave there appropriately and cooperate with us, we'll let you remember more. Keep the more memories.
Yeah, I also think maybe they're just not making people remember because some people might say things that are not supposed to be put out there. You know how some of the aliens are really secretive and they don't want things to be put out on broadcasts or anything? That might be why.
Yes.
That's what I feel.
Yes. So when we are more conscientious and cooperative and really keep things, some things we when they ask me not to tell things, I typically don't. I hate keeping secrets, but basically that's the reality of not only of third dimension, but also reality of the fourth dimension. Some things are not supposed to be revealed.
Mm-hmm.
So we come forth with the propositions. Let us keep our memories and we will behave responsibly. And let's go slowly, but let's start at that path. Start on that path. Next thing, it looks like their idea of what we should do in the Aaron colonies is quite different than Girk Fitneer colonies. Basically, the Aaron colonies seem to be focused on training us. Pleiadians, in general, I'm sad, they kind of look on humans down. That's their culture. They kind of are condescending. That's the known trait in the galaxy. They have the right to do that, but others are less condescending. So for them to train humans is kind of natural. We give you what we think is good for you, and we don't let you remember now, but we'll let you remember later. So they're kind of in control and snobbish. That's my understanding. Obviously, I want to be treated as equals in the colonies. I want to find their partners and start the process of integration, official contact right now, right there. Not to be trained, not only to be trained, but really to start official contact there. A lot has to be achieved there, a lot.
So is this, I guess you could call it veil of forgetfulness? Do you think it's in place by the Galactic Federation, or do you think it might originate from a higher spiritual realm that has more say over our subconscious and unconscious memories?
Oh, there are multiple veils. I mean, there are very specific different veils. Obviously, when you come from higher dimension to Earth, you get the veil of forgetfulness, and that make this experience possible. Say some psychiatric patients, they don't have that veil, so they remember parallel lives, and when they say, yesterday I did that and that, it was in a different timeline, and people say, you are delusional. In fact, they just cannot tell the difference between this timeline and another timeline. Their spirit is at the same time in different timelines, and all together merges here, so they tell the different things. So that veil which separates us here in this time and in this timeline is essential for this experience. And this is spiritual, obviously, no question. And there are other veils, like you go in a dream every night, you go to where Bashar calls it template reality, which is different, and you come back, and the whole idea of awakening is to remember your dreams. And David Wilcock speaks about that all the time. He was able to learn that his dreams by programming himself. I will wake up in my dream and know that I'm dreaming, and then when I come back, I will carry some of the memories back as much as I can. So I'm practicing that, and for me, I can memorize something, and in a dream sometimes I'm conscious. The more the better. But very interesting. I watch myself waking up. I go down from higher, kind of. I don't remember if I go down or up. I'm blanking now. I go from one level to another, and I'm dragged. I really do, most often I don't want to leave that wonderful place and come back to this, to awaken to this. But first seconds as I arrive here, I remember lots more, and then I see it being wiped out. It takes, some moments. I don't know. The time is different in that waking moment, but I see that now. I remember if I convert it to something which I can pronounce, and if I need to carry some information from the dream to the reality, I make a formula and keep speaking it while I'm forgetting it, and then the only formula I get back is the formula, and then most of the details are disappearing. So there is that wiping process which you don't carry back to your reality. And of course, on some days you remember the whole dream, on some days you don't remember anything. But that wiping process is, I think, it's plays there in the design of the matrix. You're in the dreams, in a dream you're in one reality, and then you come back, and there is a wiping process, which is maybe our scientists will discover it. I don't think it is discovered yet.
I heard. Are you familiar with Seth? Seth Speaks.
Yes, a little bit.
Jane Roberts.
Yeah, I like Jane Roberts. A nice story about her. I read her channeling recordings, the books, and at some point there was a comment. Jane felt tired in the channeling session, so she stopped channeling. Drank beer, smoked a cigarette, and came back to channeling. And I thought, that's yeah, that is how it was in 60s, 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. I think I remember something that Seth said that part of the reason why we forget astral projections or dream state memories is the fact that the construction of our ego. The way we experience it is that the ego sees unconscious material as absurd and harmful for waking life, and so it's kind of like a muscle that's atrophied. You have to keep, lucid dreaming, you have to keep projecting, and you have to keep kind of exercising that bridge between the unconscious and the conscious mind.
I see. Very often last year I see some. I will show you. That would be about the pattern. Like it would be a different color, but it would be a pattern like that. Very diffuse, very diffuse, and it would evolve just a little bit. Like I can move my head a little, eyes a little right, a little left in the dream, and it's typically a little different pattern, but it is the same structure of it. And then when I try to turn my head around, then I kind of lose it, and I kind of come back to, I wake up. So I'm able to see, and very recently, I will keep showing, because very recently I saw there a child, and clearly it wasn't a child of this reality. It was clearly a child, that he was moving somewhat, but it was a child in a different reality. Nothing unhappy, nothing happy. It was more happy than unhappy, something neutral, but it was very interesting to glimpse into, and I was conscious of that. I kept that memory when I woke up, that I was there, and very often the whole life I'm flying or gliding very slowly over the familiar landscape of, it's kind of familiar house, like a big house. There's a lot of people, and I'm flying over and saying, "Hey, people, I'm gliding. See, I'm flying here, and hey, girls, I can fly." That's my typical behavior there. And then somebody starts catching me, following me. There is some pursuit, and I would kind of fly away and kind of sneak through the windows. But the whole thing is a flying experience, and I have to consciously keep in the air. If I kind of lose it, I fall down.
Yeah, that happens when I astral project. Usually, within 10 or 20 feet of where I project, I don't see anybody, but once I like walk through the walls of my apartment or whatever, I start seeing other people. But I've noticed they kind of like look at me strange, and I'm all excited. I'm waving at them like, "Hey, like I'm out of my body right now," and they
Yes.
but they don't. Sometimes they don't say anything, and I get this feeling like maybe they're not allowed to,
Mhm.
and I don't know. It's just kind of weird that they don't respond sometimes.
So multiple veils. So this is what there are a few veils we have. One is between dream and reality, between multiple timelines, within time. Sometimes you can go through the veil to the tomorrow, and you can remoteviewdaily.com allows you to practice looking at tomorrow every day. So you guess certain image, and then you're getting scored. How often do you guess it right? So these are typical veils. There is also, I was asking, there is a veil between dimensions. It's kind of, there are special spirits or angelic beings who are taking care of this veil to work properly, because otherwise the whole thing will fall apart. So the whole matrix reality, it separates different dimensions, even layers within dimensions are artificially separated. So I was asking, do our spirits, Lakesh was commenting on, do our spirits live in some sort of a prison up there, and they also don't know everything? And the answer was yes. The answer is yes. It's not sort of a prison. It's a pretty happy prison. It's more like a school than a prison. But clearly the seventh dimension is also separate. There are certain rules, and they wouldn't be able to evolve there unless there were rules protecting them from going outside. They also are grouped by the race. They can communicate to extraterrestrials there, but again, they're grouped by race, and there are certain rules there under which they operate. And they learn here, but they also learn there. There is as much learning there as it is here. I mean, I don't know. It's really hard to compare where the learning is. It's different. The learning there is very different. The time is very different there. But again, there is some experience of learning there as it is here. So yes, there are spiritual veils, and obviously there are technological things which, even human military can let people forget things and remember at will, again, by giving different stimuli. When I saw the interview of the person who killed John Lennon, he said, the voice inside me said, now kill him. And I think somebody was sitting nearby with some sort of electronic transmitter and giving him directions, go now and shoot. So I think it's very well documented. There is books about the psychic warfare and making super soldiers who are programmed to be controlled by others. You can even look for patents of Lockheed Martin patents, which are developing the topics of interface between human brain and outside electronics. So making cyborgs who are controlled. There is obviously reasons. Some of we actually recently channeled a cyborg. If you remember, there was
really?
We channeled a cyborg. The whole species who have mixed biological and sort of artificial components.
Huh.
So it's not as unnatural as it seems. It is even at Atlantis, I think they did some of that sort. So it is quite accepted. I mean, the goal is what is important, and the means are not as scary as they sound for humans.
Yeah, I know that this organization called DARPA.
Yes, DARPA. Yes.
They've been using a lot of technology that connects to various parts of the brain, even like beetles and stuff. They've started using microchips that change the flow of, or the fluctuation of dopamine to motivate the beetle to like go left or right.
Oh yes,
and
yes.
So they're starting to use like live kind of drone things like that.
Yeah, that's my field of science. It's called optogenetics. It's related to others. If anybody there watches us, I would appreciate we can we can discuss possible ways of funding, and we will bring alien technologies to the humanity. So I would happy cooperate with you and get some projects going. Obviously, we want it to be applied to positive things like therapy, but I would appreciate contacting us. Keeping going. So one of the purposes of the colonies would be to develop the open contact and to develop the relationships with the aliens. So the main problem, as I started saying, the main problem in the human society is hijacking of power by negatives. The aliens overcome this by telepathy. So when the time comes, and maybe it already came, it would be nice to start thinking to and planning and bringing experience of the systems which are political and societal, social systems which prevent hijacking, more healthy systems to Earth. So we know that humans on Utopia 5 live in a more advanced society. They don't have that kind of political trouble as we do. The humans, there are humans on Error, so they live also in a fourth dimension. Basically, Utopia 5 and Error are four-dimensional planets, and humans live there in a very enlightened way. We wanted to. So the obvious thing to do is to go and study that and bring it to the humanity. The whole knowledge. We don't. Obviously, aliens are not allowed to interfere in a negative way, but the humans are allowed to transform. We have the right. We are light workers. We have the right to take the knowledge from out there, bring it here, and implement. So the question is here, how much are they allowed to help us? And I don't think there is any prohibition there. If it is well-intentioned, if it is likely to produce positive effect, it is allowed. Now we're in a period when we can invite that knowledge, and we let workers on Earth, the ground team, we allow to bring it to the humanity. Again, the format are two formats, basically. Information delivery and example. So information delivery, videos, I guess. Videos, movies, and computer games are most appropriate for that. Books, obviously. For specialists, it will be books, but for people, it would be videos. And the example, how could humans create something advanced without being hijacked? I think only in the colonies it is possible. So I'm proposing, I foresee, I have that vision that the first seed of advanced human civilization would be in the colonies. Politically, socially advanced. Maybe it will be very disorganized. Maybe it will be a hippie community, which is dear to me. Maybe it will be very structured, like Girk Fitneer hierarchical structure. But it has to be telepathically enabled to prevent negative hijacking by negatives. Please comment here. I seem like talking to myself in an empty room.
Oh, I was kind of under the impression that things should be like contained on Earth. Like the reason they don't interfere too much with us, even though we ask them to, is for self-empowerment of human beings. And so even with the technology, I feel like part of that, yeah, it could take place on the colonies, but ultimately they'd want us to empower ourselves so that we have the freedom and safety to do it on our own planet.
I think things change. I think after December 2012, we stepped on a new path, and we are destined to have a contact. And when we have the contact, it's up to us how to use information we get. We are empowering ourselves. Channeling is already legal, so illegal, I mean galactically legal, it's approved.
Yeah.
So we can ask questions how it is designed. Now we have telepaths right here. We have 5 telepaths at our hands. Jim can. I don't think you guys can communicate to each other, but you clearly can communicate to the aliens. And psychics are there, and tons of psychics. So we have people who have the ability to perceive negatives, empath negatives. So even successful business people, successful politicians, they are typically very strong empaths. They might not feel empathy, but they can sense and read mind. Oh, my bosses were telepathic. I cannot read their minds, but they read my mind just fine. They were talking and talking, and typically, especially because I was Russian in American labs, they were able to read my mind and tell me what I think and argue with me without me even opening my mouth. That was so typical with every one of them. Not everyone, but a couple of them were very powerful in that. I think they were telepaths. Successful politicians and businessmen, I think they're quite telepathic. But again, it's a little, yes.
Yeah, because I'm telepathic. I can just look at somebody and I could just I just know, and that I think that's how they are also. If they could look at you and they just know like that, they know. So just be careful about what you think around people. Some people, I haven't really. The only one who I know who is it's my friend. I could just look at her. I know what she's thinking. She looks at me. She knows what I'm thinking. So it's interesting, but you gotta really watch out for people who are extremely telepathic because they can really put you down. So I understand where you're coming from, Max.
I don't have much to fear. I guess I'm already in a state where it is yes, I understand. Yeah. At the moment I live pretty open life. I don't have much to hide, but in some point there might be some. So let's practice telepathy. I have something in my hand. What is that? And it is important. If we really have telepathy, that is, we need to know if we have telepathy. Can you guess what I have in my hand? It's an object. What material? What shape? What is it? I'm telling you.
Who's gonna guess first?
Oh, whatever.
Me? Oh God, I'm probably gonna be bad at this. Didn't Nick say that this is a terrible way to do this game?
It's important for us to know if we have real telepathy.
Okay. All right, I shouldn't put myself.
I'm looking
down.
at it.
Is it circular?
Yes.
Plastic?
Yep. Anybody?
Iron.
Second?
Железо.
I can't understand what you say. Say it 2 times. When you speak, the first half a second of your speech is cut off because when you speak a short word, we can hear only the end of the word. Can you say again?
It's material. It's iron.
Yes.
That's what I feel.
So what is that? We'll do it quick. I mean, it's easier to, let's move on. I just wanted to see how telepathic you guys are. Maybe you are not, when I guess things, I always wonder, is it thing that I'm guessing it, or maybe I'm creating the reality in which I guessed it right? All right. So that's, the answer is here. Something very desirable, very lovable. We want more of those. Tons more.
Oh gosh, I just put my hands on my foot. на лоб положила руку.
Yes, on the forehead, yes.
Whoa, Jacob just guessed it.
Where is yeah, hey Jacob, so we have either telepath or clairvoyance, which I think is not different. Now, what do you have in my head? Again, another thing. Let's just do it quicker. Yes, so for those who don't see Jacob, I think you can see it right here. Should be able. Jacob guessed it. You see that? All right. Here. Got it? Good.
Oh, he's seen the coin.
All right. So what is here now? Something different. Somewhat different. Quite different. Do it quick. I mean, it's better to mess up than to spend a lot of time.
Guess?
Yeah, just guess.
Just guess?
Yeah, you're allowed to make
nothing
right now. For myself, I mean, it's not working. I don't know why.
I see it. I see it. No, nothing.
Okay, look at that.
I'm looking at it. I can put it here. I look at it. I look at here.
Ah, yes.
What's that?
Is it rectangular or triangular?
Not exactly. It has some rectangular shape, but not much of it.
Eraser.
No. All right, I'll show you.
What
doesn't focus.
Ah, okay.
It should focus. I don't know why it doesn't focus. It should be able to focus here. Okay, it was a screw. It doesn't really focus, but it is just a wood screw. Okay, all right. So coming back to what the colonies could do. So I'm thinking about creating a community which is obviously mixed of telepaths and non-telepaths, which is mixed with extraterrestrials and is governed, self-governed, and then that community can be placed on Earth and become a seed of the future humanity. I think we are permitted to do this kind of things. I don't know how soon will become possible, but that's my way to solve the unsolvable problem that any political system on Earth failed so far. Any of them seem to be defective. So when we get the telepaths, it doesn't have to be huge. It can be a small system. It is like a tribe. But if you then can clone those tribes, like churches or like franchise, they can clone themselves. Like the church, in many times in any history of Christianity, there were missionaries. One missionary would come to a completely different place, and just by nature of how they do things, they can convert the whole village, whole area to the Christianity. How could they do that? I guess they had supernatural help, but also there was that knowledge, that structure. They could build a monastery, train the monks, and it would become a monastery which can do things and then convert the whole political system, the whole social system to a new way of doing things. So I'm thinking about creating these seeds of future humanity in greenhouse conditions in the colonies where it's all protected, where it's all helped, and also it could be social scientists researching how it is done outside in the galaxy, bringing it to the colonies, explaining to committees of humans who understand, who think about social engineering. So social engineering is what can be done here in human colony, here on the ground team, and also in the colonies of Girk Fitneer and Nera, and then can be seeded here on Earth when we are ready.
Yes, I think that would be a very good idea.
Thank you, Caitlin.
You're welcome.
I hope they hear
So,
that.
what's the next topic? Oh, sorry, Zenaida, what'd you say?
I said, I hope they hear that.
I think they hear everything. I think they just always, every time there's a webinar, they just listen.
Yes, they
probably think it's
hear.
really entertaining.
They hear. I wrote it in my book 3. But I think now when we get to the discussion with Kinjin, we get another opportunity to move forward with that. Next topic is, I guess, the topic of facilitators. Just the numbers. I just do simple calculation. How many we have? How many countries do we have? 50, 70 on Earth? Nobody knows. I would say 50 to 70 official countries which are members of United Nations. We can Google easily. Can anyone Google how many members of United Nations are there?
It's 51 in America.
United Nations?
I think it's 51.
No, you're talking about states or nations. I mean, Russia, America, blah, 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 all the officially accepted political countries. Maybe 51, I don't know. So between 50 and 70 countries in United Nations, UN. All of them will be happy to have at least one representative in the Galactic Village up there. And big countries would possibly have the whole embassy there with people going up and down, up and down. And some of those would be, security would be important because some of those would be quite negative and some of those obviously would be quite positive. But you know, building Galactic Village will take an effort. And how many aliens are committed to support it? I would say they don't have many so far. It can be actually, this Galactic Village can be actually on Earth, but it doesn't really matter. But it has to be, you know, the security has to be using alien technologies to prevent, you know, the terrorist attacks. So if it is on Earth, obviously alien technologies would be involved, and if it is out there, obviously alien technologies would be involved to provide the security. And now, much of the support and service in this Galactic Village could be done by humans, trusted humans with clearance. And then humans meet with aliens, and we need facilitators for that. We need someone who is understanding both sides and can facilitate. Obviously, they have automatic language translators. They obviously hope to speak to telepaths, but you know, I don't think our politicians are qualified as telepaths. You know, they might have some telepathy, but obviously the conversations would be in human languages, whatever language is. For each country, it would be different. So they would use an interpreting device, and it doesn't have to be something handheld. They can possibly make it look like it comes from their mouth, or many of the aliens like Yahyel and Pleiadians and Lyrans are actually physically capable of speaking human languages. So they would switch a language. They will learn the language they speak with humans, and they will speak that language most likely, or will have it be translated in a way it is perceived as human language. But then there is a huge difference in understanding how things are on Earth and how things are out there, and that's where human facilitators would be needed. And I guess Caitlin, Sabrina, and others might be of that kind.
Maybe.
So I know one of the facilitators. human-to-human facilitators. That's the whole kind of profession. It is ability to understand both parties and help them to find common language. It is art, and some people are really good in that. And to start training those, it's just, it's never late. It's now it's the right time. No, never early, never too early. No, it could be late later, because again, we have 50 countries. We will have big corporations which are even more powerful than some of the countries, and all of them will want to have a piece of that communication. Obviously, if the things go well. Obviously, if things don't go well, it would be a completely different scenario. But if things go well, then we want to become a part of galactic society. And there is a path to go there. And the earlier we start on this path, the better. So after the open contact, next steps would be to establish these communications. And I'm pretty sure they're not ready to release any technologies to us. I'm pretty sure. That is unfortunate, but that's, I think that's unfortunate truth, unfortunate reality. They will not release their technologies to us. So it will be knowledge, but not technical. But social knowledge, I think they are capable of releasing. They're already releasing through channeling, so they are quite forward-going, releasing their galactic knowledge about social things. Please comment.
I don't have a comment, but I have a question. So if contact did happen and it went negatively, it went terrible, people were panicking, war was upon us, all this crazy negative stuff happened, what would happen to us as a colony, the human colonies? What would happen to us as a group?
A great question. Let me bring my Soviet experience. The war and unrest is actually typically, it brings a lot of liberation. It's a strange fact, but while there was a Vietnam War, all hippies were here celebrating freedom. While there was Russian sort of kinds of unrest, there was also big relief in the society. On one hand, say after November 11th attack, there was not much liberation, but because on one hand the powers in control start to tighten the screws and install the controlling mechanisms, there is a natural opposite reaction, and people start, the opposition becomes energized. So it is a typical polarization process. When the controllers become more persistent in their control, there is opposition which is grassroots, which starts to flourish. It's not always like in Mexico in 1968. It was just the opposite. People went to the streets, they were pushed to a certain place, and thousands were killed at once, and that was the end of the opposition. They just wiped it out, and there was so much terror, people just stopped protesting. The similar thing happened at Stalin times, but it didn't happen at once. It takes time for creating the whole state of terror. America is not close to that. America is pretty far from that. It's one of the countries where people really believe that they're free. And going from the state of being completely free to the state of accepting the full control by negative dictatorship takes time. It takes time, tens of years. Other countries are different, but again, some countries are closer and more, how to say, of more importance, the West, okay, it's hard to tell. The West, the East, China is important, Japan is important, India is important. Different countries are of different levels. So suppose there is a negative scenario. Obviously, there will be some negativity happening. That's goes out of the question. I don't know if it will be after the contact or before the contact. They might delay the contact all the time because of the wars. Suppose the wars happen. It really depends. If it is, there are so many scenarios. And again, I don't want to detail the negative scenarios because I don't want to dwell on them. But suppose the false flag attack scenario happens. Basically, they know that contact is coming, and they succeed in pretending that aliens attacked some places. They take the military have this, the flying saucers, and they will attack some places. Then they will shoot these saucers, and they say they defeated the alien attack, and after that they start attacking and controlling the Lightworkers. How likely it is, I don't know. And it's kind of a weird scenario. And again, in modern society, when the establishment attacks something alternative, it gives the alternative so much popularity you can't even imagine. Like Martin Luther King, and there was someone else with them. But take Martin Luther King. They knew that their power is in passive provocation. So they provoked at that time bad guys, whatever, I don't know how they call it, bad guys, to attack them and to beat them. And they did it all the time in such a way that the photographers were there and the press were there. That was the main tactic. So they do a peaceful demonstration in such a way that photographers and press are invited, and then they provoke the attack. And provoking was easy these days. You just stand there and they will attack you. And then the whole world knows that whites attacked black, and that changed the history. But they did it very consciously at provoking the violence, and the violence which was the news which were most popular these days, and they're still popular. So pictures of violence, his stories of violence make the news. So if Lightworkers are attacked, it will give us so much credibility that people start to read what we write, listen to our YouTube videos, and lots more people will come. Some will hide and some will come, and obviously, if they close all our communication means we will not be able to reach each other. But I don't think we are close to that. I think right now we are being supported by the government passively. Basically, they listen to what we say, and some of them are, whatever, military-industrial complex. They have assignment to find out what the agendas of Zetas, blah blah blah, and we tell them. We just recently had a channel in which exposed the agenda of Zetas. Lyrans spoke extensively on their involvement and why do they help us. Yahyel, Reptilians came out. That is so welcome, because Reptilians are suspected in all possible scenes. David Icke is classical writer and speaker who speaks for many years about that. So even our whatever military industrial complex is fearful and respectful of Reptilians, and now they came open, and I think that's a great achievement. So I don't know many people who channel that kind of Reptilian, so that was a great breakthrough. So right now I think we are helping very much everybody, including the guys in control. So I'm used to being in the Soviet Union. I was sort of quieter, obviously, but I was meeting my friends in the forest, and we were exchanging the truth which was, no, now it's obvious, but at that time it was secret. At that time, 1979, 1980 was awakening for us. And what if Americans are not that bad as they're portrayed? What if outside there is more freedom than here? What if their technology is really better as they say? That was, what if our Lenin was not as good as it is portrayed? That was kind of mentality at 1980, and we just were, light workers of that time at that place, and the KGB was much nastier at that time at that place than here. So we were underground. I mean, obviously, like. You don't speak at that time. You wouldn't speak anything in public, so we were speaking that to each other, whispering.
Did you during those times? Did you ever have like individual radios that would pick up like American stations that were trying to promote like a inner retaliation kind of? Because I know I read like the whole history of North Korea, and you're kind of describing like the same mindset they're kind of going through right now.
Thank you. That's a big topic in my book 3, which was written about 9 months ago for Girk Fitneer. Yes, exactly. Radio stations were the key. Thank you for bringing that topic. Radio Liberty, also called Radio Svoboda in Russian. Svoboda and Liberty is the same thing. So Radio Liberty. It was at that time, I think it was headquartered in Paris, and because the radio transmission from there was closer, I think at some point it came to Czechoslovakia. I think after opening the, no, it was in Paris at that time. It was kind of moving between Paris and Germany somewhere, but Paris was certainly there. But it was funded by the Congress of the United States. And obviously, there were government security, CIA, whoever was involved in the, who they hired and what was they allowed to speak, how they presented. But that I think was the key component which made the transformation possible. So the Soviet Union was built, it was an empire or built on deception. It was huge deception in Soviet Union. The whole country was brainwashed. And the control was possible, so tight control was possible exactly because there were only few people who spoke up publicly, and as soon as they speak up, they were removed. Some of them were removed killed, some of them were removed into prison, some in psychiatric clinics, and if they were already known abroad in the West, they were just put on the airplane and officially departed. What's the word? Moved away from the country, deported from the country. So in the country there was no one publicly opposing the government, and then the radio stations were saying the truth. And now I see they, most, 99.9% of what they said was the truth. They didn't say all the truth, obviously. As now the channelings we get, it's exactly the same thing. So I'm used to channeling. At that time, it was just a different type of channel. It was Americans, and actually it was Russians. The Radio Liberty was Russian immigrants. Some were recent, and some were born outside of Russia, and some of them were, some of them were Westerners who spoke Russian, but most of them were Russians, and Russian Jews, obviously. And they spoke the truth. There was plenty of information, and that information was key for transformation, because we listened to that, and it opened our minds. That was a whole new vibration. The tone was very important. The tone was of empathy. The tone was of empathy, sadness and empathy. And the transmissions were jumped. So there were Russian radio towers called glushilki, which is translated as jammers. So jammers were jamming the signal, but they were kind of lazy, or maybe it cost money, but I don't think money was the issue, but they were not fully efficient. So they allowed part of the transmission to come through, and then they jumped part of the transmission. And they used the typical noises, which kind of in the same frequencies as the voice. So one of the noises was like, and another was like, shh, and like, so we listen all our free time. As now I remember my youth. All my youth I was listening to the radio stations that in Russian were called голоса, meaning voices. I listen to voices. So when I say I don't hear voices, it means the other voices. But that voices I heard all the time. So the voices of America, voice of other countries, and Radio Liberty, we listen to them all the time. And also you compare if Americans said that and Liberty said that and China said something else, how does it match? And I'm doing that right now, the same thing. So it is 34 years later. Yeah, 34 years later, I do the same thing. So I compare the messages and try to make my picture of that. So the channelings are the same thing. They're the voices of truth, and they kind of change the thing. So the jammers, when important messages were transmitted, the jammers jam those. So the message goes, and then at some point they start jamming. You understand? This is the truth. That's what they're afraid of. That's where I can really trust something which is jammed. And also, it wasn't fully jammed. So when you hear it jamming, and you can hear the voice coming through that, you say, that is most important, most significant. Yesterday, the Zetas jumped when Zechariah was exposing their agenda. That was very revealing. So Zechariah was saying about that, how they do things, and that the agenda is negative, and they just jumped him.
So does the Galactic Federation still allow Zetas to occupy spaces on Earth, or if they know that their agenda is negative?
Yeah. Can you bring some? There should be some example in human history which would it's hard to find politically proper example, but yes, they allow. There are rules, and if they play by the rules, they're not allowed to be with. No, when they play by the rules, even they have negative agenda, they're still allowed to be here. But basically, they're Girk Fitneer is in control, and Zetas are sneaking, but they don't do much negative stuff, and they're not permitted to take over the thing. So yes, there should be some example where we have negative people who are permitted to be present if they play by the rules. I just can't find a politically proper example.
Maybe like hate groups, like they're still allowed to
for example. Yes.
They can't carry out anything else.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah.
What about Area 51? Like,
what about it?
I heard on some occasions there was negative things going on there.
Yes.
I'm not really sure. I heard that though. I think I heard a couple stories.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up.
Was this recent or?
No, it was like in the 50s and stuff like that.
So Roswell was.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Roswell.
Roswell was a crash of Yahyel. According to these two, it was a crash of Yahyel people, and some of them died, and some of them were captured, and they were treated very badly. And they were transported, I believe, to Area 51. And also there they kind of accumulated alien technologies, which some of those might have come from Germans in the times of war. They had some sort of saucers, anti-gravity projects. And some of them were captured, retrieved, other alien flying things. And some of them possibly were received in exchange for political things, like, the government allowed the abductions for hybridization program. In exchange, they received some of the technologies. So in the time of, I would say, 60s, 70s, 80s, they already have anti-gravity saucers, and some of that they could reconstruct, some of that, they kept the control mechanisms. I don't know. Some of the saucers are pretty small, so only small people can fit there, and they used some kind of headband they put it on the head and then control the saucer. So they flew it around Area 51, and people were able to come, and from certain place you could see the saucers flying. The areas, how they call areas, the bases are connected with underground tunnels, so you can get from Area 51 anywhere, including Australia. They have pretty good underground tunnels for communication, so it's not exactly, isolated place. But I don't know how much is there right now, because there is so much attention. It's like most like people just come there and just hope to hear news about it. So I don't know how much is there now. But there are other bases, and there are places where the aliens and humans work together side by side, including, I think, our friendly reptilians of the Earth reptilians, sharp tooth, represented by General Rokork. It would be a great question. Are they working side by side? My friend who I interviewed, Rosemary, I will post the link I should post the link to her interview. It's pretty long interview, but it's very interesting. She was abducted by them regularly, and she saw aliens, reptilians, Nordics, and humans in military form often. There is also the video Sunny. I need also to post it. Sunny is a Zeta Gray incarnated as a human. Sunny Seta, C-E-T-O. So she has a couple of interviews where she shares her story. She also was abducted by the same people, and they treated her pretty badly because they knew she was a Gray and treated her as an alien. But she was a human basically, and she mentions them. There is tons of people who have seen, have been at these places. Some of the hybridizations they did were pretty nasty, and I think Montauk project was mentioned by David Wilcock mostly. Was the one where I think the people who were forced to work on these hybridization projects at some point exploded the whole base and closed it. So the project was closed there. But I know, I hear the rumors that some of the Colonies and hybridization projects are still being done and expanded by military industrial complex, which is not a big secret. I think it's taken. If the technology permits it, then why not to do that?
So are the Nordics the same as what some people call the tall whites? Have you heard of that term?
A good question. I don't know the answer.
I've heard there's I forgot his name. He used to be in the Air Force, and he worked at weather stations in Nevada, and he referred to this group of, I guess they were Nordic looking, and he called them the tall whites.
I don't know.
Except they'd get very angry, and apparently they have been working with the government or something.
Angry is the word which characterizes Nordics. My friend Rosemary said that when I was in their hands, I would prefer to be with a Gray, preferably Grays are very kind, even Zetas, or with reptilian. Some of the reptilians were very kind to her. And the last thing, she would be in the hands of Nordics because they are nasty and they angry. So possible. I think Nordics and Orions might be the same thing. Aryans and Orions is about the same thing. Swedish people with white hair and very light blue eyes are, classical genetical Nordics. That's all I know.
Oh yeah, I just remember his name. It's Charles Hall.
Don't know anything about Charles
There's
Hall.
YouTube videos of his conference speech and stuff.
But what I say is like it's a surface thing. There is much literature, tons of YouTube videos, so that's what I collected on YouTube. It's not very interesting to me because it's sort of others already investigated that. These are kind of things on the surface. A lot of witnesses come out and report that. Is there anything else you want to detail there? I want to go back to the topic of one of the previous topics, but if you want to continue here, you can continue. Anything else which comes to your mind? There is a Google Earth project, and some people on Google Earth they kind of map the bases of alien bases and human alien bases, so it's possible to find them. And actually, I looked at the globe, and there is, I think it is kind of some Pine place, Pine Gap maybe in Australia. It's like, from the top you can even see the mountain and the forest, so you kind of get a sense where they're hiding. But if I had an opportunity to go there, I'm not sure I want to go there. There are more spiritual places than that. Yes, say?
It'd be kind of scary to just... Wait, were you referring to the islands and like places that they visit?
More like alien human bases. Alien human bases. I mean, if you capture you, why? What do you gain from being there? I asked.
Captured. Oh, sorry. You go.
I asked. I don't remember, one of our alien friends. Where should I go if I had a, which is the most spiritual place visited by extraterrestrials? And obviously the answer was Sedona and Shasta. Sedona and Shasta are best places to visit or to move to. Bashar said that the first contact will be in Sedona, and I think after that they expanded the areas, but I think it's just easier for them to be there. It's more spiritual, kind of closer to the fourth dimension. Maybe by coming there you become closer. I think Hawaii was one of the places where you kind of, just by being there, you are uplifted. I wanted to go to Peru. There is a nice nice movie by slipping in my mind. That actress, and she made a movie. She's talking about extraterrestrials. Shirley MacLaine. Yes, it's called Out on a Limb. Out on a Limb. I have a copy of that. I can share if anybody is into watching movies. It's amazing movie. Actually, I think it is. I should be able. It's a big file. I think there is a link on YouTube. That's what I should copy. Out on the Limb, post it. Watch that movie. It is about channeling and about astral travel, about extraterrestrials. Everything very well put together by a very talented Shirley MacLaine. Yes. So there are places to go. I wanted to come back to the topic of voices. So channelings by extraterrestrials are great and they help us much. One of the activities of the colonies I suggested, and they didn't take it seriously, they didn't even respond to that, but I think one of the activities of the colonies would be channeling to humans. Or broadcasted on YouTube. Broadcasted on YouTube. So some of the things in the colonies can be made in such a way that they would target light workers. and prepare light workers for the contact and the time after the contact in a way that it will not be it will not cause premature awakening. So when I'm talking about premature awakening, I mean when aliens are not ready and humanity just awakens to their presence, and if they are not ready, if the plans are not coordinated, then it too early is not good. It's the time should be right when everybody is kind of when the things are coordinated. Say when at least they have people to meet with humans, because right now they have almost nobody. They have experts on that, and that, but they are not prepared for the contact. So they are planning, and depending on how humanity is ready, they are preparing for that. So until that time, they don't want premature awakening to their presence, because it will be more scary, and they will not have an opportunity to present themselves in a positive way. Obviously, they want to be loved and welcomed, and they want to welcome us to galactic society. So the positive scenario has to be happening in the proper time. So they keep all the secrets to avoid premature awakening. So they give us sublime messages, they give us channelings, they give us visits there which we don't remember, they give us sightings here and there which are convincing but not too convincing. And so obviously when we ask, give us more, they say no, it's yes and no. I'm reading the comment. No, I'm worrying, and then I'm proposing something positive, right? Yes, I'm worried, but I'm creating the reality, which I think is a good reality. I'm creative. That's a creative process. So,
may I say something?
Go ahead.
As long as you support with your excitement some kind of fight or some kind of adventure, it will come through as adventure. But it will be as much adventure as seriously you take it. If you take it too serious, it will be serious. It will not be adventure at all. So what I suggest is just to lighten up as much as possible. Enjoy this. What we do is just fun.
Yes and no. Yes. How to say it? Yes, you're right in principle. Yes, you're right in specifics, and still, we already achieved something by say it is all a game. All right, it is a computer game. We are in a game reality. We are playing this game, and until now, the game had this scenario, this scenario, this scenario, and there was no human colonies there. I created that reality. I offered the humanity the how do you call it? Human collective. I offered, how about you create human colonies? It will be a nice new area for playing. And it didn't become the part of global human consciousness, but it became a part of reality of you guys and some of the aliens. So we have about 200-300 people playing that game, and that game can become reality of the rest of the humanity, right? So now I'm creating another reality which I think is also very positive. So the seeds of future society, we take them from Utopia 5, from Era, from Lyran cultures, combine it with our Lightworker culture, create the seeds in the human colonies, and then seed it on Earth. It could be, I don't remember, I think I gave it a name in my book. Maybe it was some sort of villages or communities. Say again?
It's an exciting idea, but just don't detail it to death. That's what I'm saying.
No, I want to detail it, not to death. I want to detail to life. Yes, I'm detailing to life. I'm imagining that.
As Bashar says, you will always find more sands or grains of sand to count. There's nowhere to stop if you just want to know how every time. We want to prepare everything. You want to know how this happens, but just let go. It will happen. and it will happen faster if you let it happen other way than you plan, you know.
I understand. Thank you. Yes, I proposed to you this new reality. For me, right now, in the book, it is said in one way. Now I'm proposing it another way, but also I'm preparing it for Kenjin and possibly others. So I'm proposing this new game, new scenario. It's like a modern Minecraft. It's like a new area. I'm writing a how do you call it? It's my higher excitement, obviously. I'm inventing a new scenario for Earth. So that new scenario involves broadcasting from the colonies. Nobody proposed it before.
Am I the only one who wonders who Kenjin looks like? What Kenjin looks like? I really wonder what he looks like.
When my dogs... He is human?
Isn't he?
No,
Isn't
he is...
I was told he was.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Kenjin, yes. Yes, Jim described him, yes. And it was a nice coincidence that Nick, not coincidence, nice... Kenjin appeared to Nick and to Jim at the same night. They didn't know about each other's information, and they described that it's human. Yes.
Did they say what he looks like?
Jim, everything that Jim said was you watched that interview with Jim, right? On the sun outside,
yeah, I did.
Outdoors. That's all he said. Oh. I find that Kenjin looks at us again a little condescending, and he wasn't ready for what I proposed. He wasn't interested. He thought that he knows better. And my point is that I'm proposing them something interesting which is new, and maybe they can consider that. Obviously, he wasn't ready for that. He thought that maybe he knew something which would prevent, which prohibits that. But on my maybe it is just them not being ready for that. They kind of treat us as humans who need to be trained, and then they will uncover for us the beauty of the fourth dimension. And I sense that there are other wonderful opportunities for awakening the humanity, which are more like educational, and that education can come from human colonies. If human colonies release, like Aaron and Girk Fitneer human colonies release the videos, maybe aliens wouldn't appear there as aliens. Maybe they will appear as Zinaida's cat, like that, or something very artificial. But people who understand might get the message. So tons of information so far has come through challenge, but tons more is there which can be told, but is not told yet by those who visit there. And if they let us be there and release videos on YouTube, the ones which are maybe cleared with their to their secrecy things, to their secrecy standards. Would you like to work on that video project in the colony?
I would love to work on videos. When I first I know that this is probably really off topic, but I remember when I first read the application, what you wrote. I don't know if it was you who wrote it, but like what you could do in the colonies, the certain colonies you could attend. I really was so interested in the video stuff, like actually interviewing an alien and doing documentaries. That's really interesting, and I think it would really help the race. I mean, a lot of people these days do watch videos, so it would become popular. I remember one time I watched, I think it was a gray alien. It looked like an old video, and the gray alien was actually blinking and stuff, and people were commenting, and they actually did think this was real, and it did look real. It could be fake, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like a video supposedly released by the KGB, like in Russia or something.
They made it seemed old, but it could have been maybe tweaked a bit. I'm not sure, but a lot of people were commenting they did think this video was real. So if you put videos out like that, of the aliens, people are gonna think this is real. There may be really negative people, obviously, because whatever you do, there is going to be people who do not understand. And I know that's difficult, but there's just, if you put these videos out there, it's going to get attention either way, you know. That one video got a lot of views, so I think it would be a really good way to do documentaries, and people would be really interested in different species that they've never seen before, how they live, how they speak, what they do on a daily basis. That would really interest people, even though they'd be afraid, you know, because maybe they wouldn't want to actually physically encounter them, because a lot of people will probably be really scared, but if they see these videos, they wouldn't have to worry about that. They'd just be at their computer just watching it or whatever they're doing. So
a typical question I ask of aliens is how is your family life? How do you bring up children? I think that is very interesting, and different races do it in a very different way. So it's exciting to learn that.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's what people are questioning also, because a lot of people view aliens as just really advanced. Okay, the stereotypical view of aliens these days is just a really advanced Zeta-looking race. If they think of aliens, they just think of Zetas, just emotionless and nothing. But meanwhile, there's different types of species, and they just think of aliens as emotionless and just ride their crafts around Earth, but they're not like that at all. They would be, if they seen a different looking alien, they'd be really interested in how they do things, you know. So that's what I mean. I think they really should release these documentaries, but I don't know when they're going to do that. Do you know when they're going to do that?
Right now the plan is that it will be after the contact. Yes, after the tipping point. But I would still keep knocking on the door and proposing, how about we go there and create the videos which are benign and educational and release some of those before the contact. Also, Girk Fitneer did release some of the alien videos already on YouTube. But what they did, they released them on historical channel on individual basis to some humans to see the reaction. So right in the historical channel in Ancient Aliens, they show something like, something that they created, and so how humans would perceive that. It's more experimental than a desire to really educate the humanity, to transform the humanity. But again, they themselves are not permitted to do that. They are not permitted to. They are permitted to do channels, but not videos. But we, the Lightworkers, are different. We are from Earth. We are ground team. We are permitted to do that. So if they allow us to visit the aliens, for example, in the colonies, come back, create the video reports, and sometimes maybe the person doesn't want to put his face, it would be like without showing the face, but still the audio interview would be of someone who have been in the colonies and released to the or visited other planets. They give the colonies the tours over other planets. So obviously Zachariah and Nick already are telling some of those stories, but we need more of that, and we want to be doing that in a more controlled fashion. Right now it is it's not making what's the difference? We want to do it more artistically, I would say, more creatively, and we invite their help to do that in a better way. Right now, it's too homemade, and information is too shallow. They have a little bit of glimpse, but not much. It can be way better.
You know, it'd be awesome if there was like a show. Oh wait, no, maybe that sounds a little bit stupid. But like, you know how there's that alien show, and it's really trying to get into I don't know what it's called. It's It's an alien show, and it's about like they're trying to discover different things, and they find things about Egyptians and stuff, and different scriptures and stuff that are alien, and how the different cultures, ancient cultures.
A typical reality, yes,
that's what it's
typical
called.
reality show. Yes.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool if we did a show.
Yeah, I have friends in Toronto who wanted to do that.
You should email ancient aliens and promote human colonies.
That'd be awesome.
That will happen eventually. I spoke to them. It's you have to be ready for that. And yes, it should happen. Yes, I don't know how to bring it closer because there is a gap here. Like my friends in Toronto, they try to do that. Actually, there is 2 teams who try to do that. They are very knowledgeable about ufology. It's more like ufology, not channeling. And they did some, how do you call it, test pilot shooting. They got some money for pilot shooting. They did some pilot shooting, and they weren't selected to continue. But again, up there in that, down there in wherever movie making companies, television companies, they are also controlled. So there is politics there. On one hand, they want to expose more information. On one hand, they're very restricted in what they can show. So what we do now on YouTube is kind of, we are almost free to say anything except we're kind of sometimes we're cut. Other than that, we're pretty free. In there, it is a lot of self-censorship. What they do, self-censorship. And right now, they're still in the mindset of ufology research and paranormal research, but not yet channeling. Channeling is kind of beyond their what is permitted there. I'm speaking again. We were introduced to a nice friend, C. Nice friends. Let me say C. Chris. Nice friend Chris. He's a young, talented movie maker, and he knows the business part of it, and he has some supportive friends, and so he's good. And he contacted me and was thinking he and Zachariah and he and I were kind of developing the projects which we could do together. Again, it comes to money and comes to it is a completely different level of undertaking, and the money are key there. It's not cheap to shoot movies of high quality. And again, what could we propose? What could we offer? So Human Colony, right now we have 5 channelers. Is it enough to make a movie? Rob Goffier, the one who channels Treb, the reptilian hybrid.
Oh yeah.
Benevolent human reptilian hybrid, and who interviewed Jim. He and others are making the new version of Tuned In. Have you watched Tuned In?
Oh, Tuning In? Yeah, I saw the first one.
Caitlin, did you watch Tuning In?
Can you guys hear me? Okay, yes. No, I haven't seen it. What is it?
Yeah. It is a wonderful, best-made documentary about channelers, 5 channelers in America. And what they did there, they took lots of channelings, well recorded in a new kind of cinematographic way, very visual. They take a part of the face, well-groomed face. They take, before the channeler goes on screen, they have to like really groom themselves, being groomed by their face groomers, and then they took these videos and then they sorted it by combining them saying the same thing or speaking on the same topic, and it developed, from the nature of reality, blah blah blah, my matrix, to the. I don't think they said much about extraterrestrials, but they said a little bit. And it is very little said in that video. It's like an hour video, but it is so profound when different channelers say about same thing, and kind of even continue. One continues the story of another, and Bashar is there, and Crayon is there. The lady who channels Pleiadians is there. So now they make the next version of it, and so it would be very exciting. Obviously, we would be happy to be with them, and maybe Tuning in 3 would be where we would all participate. Maybe it's easier to do your own project and kind of find your own money than to jump into something which is already organized. I don't know. We would love introductions. The point is that many of those channels are so generic. They're great on higher level, like Utopia. What's that word? The book I showed today. This one. Urantia book. So they're like on Urantia book, what is up there, but when it comes to what is the four-dimensional, how it all works together with Girk Fitneer and stuff, I don't think many are on that level. I don't think, I think we're quite unique. So we are all we have. So finding people outside who would be able to perceive that would be really tough. I tried in the past, and so far I was unsuccessful. The closest comes, now I need to remember, Alfred Weber. Alfred Weber is very close to what we say. He is very knowledgeable. It's called exopolitics. So exopolitics, there is a couple more guys in exopolitics who really pay attention to channelings in a way, in the same way we do, and understanding the situation. The guy from Project Camelot, I forgot his name. Do you remember Project Camelot? Kerry Cassidy and Bill Emma. He is very good. I'm sorry, I at the moment I don't remember. There was. I'm blanking. It's late now, but there is a gentleman who has a nice challenge community around him, and David Wilcock obviously is knowledgeable, but he's not yet into exposing his connection to channelers. Many of the people in that area, they know they follow the channelers, but they pretend not to listen to channelers, because when you say that you are listening to channelers, you kind of your whole image is mainstream. People kind of dismiss you on that basis, so people are afraid to mention that. So there are nice communities which we should now and very soon to become friends with, and then it will happen. Then we'll do the movies. Right now, and we are starting the movie project right now. In the beginning of that show, we had Laura. And on the previous shows, we had Slava, who are just starting it right now. We are basically taking the whole body of tons of our videos. We have 112 videos by now already published, and we have some audio recordings which are not published. And we can piece them together, combining into more consecutive, concise story. So I guess that's the best what we can do. And then what I'm doing now, I'm kind of telling that story in a more organized fashion, and I think I should do more of that, because that's what we should do. Tell it and kind of illustrate by channelings. Obviously, there are some other ways of doing that. There are some other formats, but other formats are way more labor intensive. Say, doing cartoons. We discussed with Peter. There was a nice cartoon maker, 3D cartoon maker, Peter. We were thinking, how can we, without seeing aliens, how can we tell the story? Can we kind of make 3D animations and show the aliens? But it is so much more sophisticated. And again, people trust when they see your face, and when they see cartoon, they think it's all fiction. So I don't see cartoons much helpful at the moment, unless we want to go in the fiction road. I think we we can remain into the details and what we learn from channeling and how do we and what do we do with them.
Max, are you familiar with the Yahyel Civilization Facebook group?
Yes and no. I know about them. Unfortunately, I don't have time for research anymore. I'm spending all my free time speaking to you guys. So
Well,
I don't know.
there's a great artist who's part of. She's associated with Rob, and I think she does like channeled portraits for like $30. I've had 2 done, one of a hybrid child and one of a reptilian counterpart. And I think it'd be interesting if you might contact her and maybe get her in touch with some of the entities we've been talking to on here, and she can probably tune in. And she does like digital portraits using like various programs, and apparently she works with a Sasani member named Maddox who helps with her artistic skills.
Now called Shakani. Yes. What's your name?
Well, she goes by Awaken Within. That's her name.
Awaken Within.
Yeah.
Yeah, do the introductions, kind of connect us by the best means possible, and we will chat with her in the way which is comfortable for her, and I will be happy to move forward with that.
Actually, if you go to galacticfamilies.com, that's where you can find like images of the various.
Can you facilitate that? Post the images on the website.
Yeah, I can post a.
Yeah. Do the introduction. Write it up in as a post, and let's create a little project and see where it goes. And
Okay.
yes, we need to do more of those.
Yeah.
So the question is, what would be the next step and next step after next in the videos? What we can do now is to compile existing channelings in a interesting story, most condensed story, kind of highlighting the main finding. It is a lot of work. Slava is great with that. Basically, he went and annotated about, I would say, 40% of our videos. What is where, because it's long videos, and we don't really, it's really hard to go back and finding stuff. So you need professionals for that. Oh, Caitlin, yes. Good night, Caitlin. Good night. Yes, tomorrow is. Kids don't go to school, but still it's time. My kids are still watching Star Trek. It's kind of coming to the finish. Thanks everybody, and have a good night. Find us on humancolony.org and search our Facebook page by Hucolo, Hucolo, and our Google Plus. Befriend us or follow us on Google Plus, and you'll be invited to our webinars. Join us for webinars. Thank you, viewers. We have 8 viewers right now, and I invite everybody to subscribe, to contact Jim, Nick, and Zachariah for private channeling sessions, paid ones, and I invite people to contact me for private spiritual consultations. I will help you with what I know, and I have. I'm not channeling, but I have other talents which might help you as well. And donations are invited. Invest in us, and that will help humanity, and it will help you. To donate, come to humancolony.org and click on donate button, and there are multiple ways to help us. Be also involved in person, as participate in webinars and help us building the better future for the Earth. Help us to help you to ascend. Have a good night. Blessings. Blessed be your path. Blessed be your heart. Blessed be God within you. Namaste.
Namaste.